Hey there, Mateus Clement here from Mazzo Media, giving some more video tips. Today we're going to talk about filters. Before I start talking about the filters themselves, I think that filters are probably one of those things I wish I could go back in time and smack myself about, because I was so obsessed with camera gear that I kind of forgot that there were other elements that would help increase my production value. In the beginning, you're like, oh, it's just really bright out, so I'll just stop it down to f/22 and make it really dark, and that's how I'll do that. Except for if you're trying to do anything with separating depth of field, or if you're doing a little bit of homework on lenses, it's bad to stop down your lens as far as possible. It can actually cause a bit of diffusion going on. You can YouTube that for that explanation, but basically it's bad to stop it down all the way. So I learned about ND filters first, and then from there now I've definitely grown in my filmmaking and learned that there's a lot more to it. So the ND filter, for the uninitiated, is the neutral density filter. It comes in various sizes. If you can, with your gear, use step-up rings. I mean, if you have a really small 52mm lens and then like a 67mm lens, a step-up ring might not be possible, but it can definitely help save on costs. So this one's a 67mm. It goes on the FS100 that I'm shooting on right now. When it comes to neutral density filters, I find I just have ND8s. I don't have an ND2 or an ND4. Those numbers, by the way, correspond with the number of stops of light, I believe. And so ND8 blocks the most amount of light out of 2, 4, and 8. You can go 16, 32, and it goes on and on. But I only use ND8 because I find that when I need to stop down light, I need to stop it down a lot. And I've used variable ND filters where you can have the ability to dial it in, and on run and gun events, like events or documentaries, they're fantastic. They're super awesome to be able to quickly change on the fly. But when it comes to controlled work, shooting studio work, or an interview, I'll stick with an ND. I have less chance of a kind of pattern showing up that tends to show up with variable ND filters. And when it comes to a cheap ND filter versus a cheap variable ND filter, the cheap ND filter will not cause you as much tinting and issues going on as you're going to get with the variable ND. So what am I saying? ND8. That's all I have for my lenses. If I need more than that, then I'll just stop down at that point or change ISO or something of that nature. So I'll only go ND8, and what I do is I actually have them all inside of a little wallet that I bought. I got these off eBay, and this wallet was like $3. Totally should have bought it a long time ago, because before I just had them all in little cases like this, and I'd be fucking around and trying to hurry up on set, and these cases were just terrible for that. So what happens here is I've paired them up with a ND filter and a polarizer. And what happens is these are my 49s, 52s, and 67s, I believe, and works great for the 3 lenses that I use the most often. I use a step-up ring, so I'll be able to get rid of these. So those are the pairs that I'll use, and I'll use, like I said, an ND8 and a polarizer. Those are the 2 staples that I'll have. I am getting another wallet pretty soon for a variety of other filters. So this is a great way to make sure that your filters stay safe and don't get scratched. And I really recommend getting one. I mean, for $3 off eBay, you're gonna save your filters from getting scratched up and bunged up. So, and then, like I said, I'm gonna be getting another wallet, and that's actually for ND filters. That's one filter I really wish I would have gone back in time and told myself, get those right away, because there were so many instances where I would have a blown out sky and I would get the rest of the exposure all right. But unfortunately, the shot kind of looked like shit because it looked like, you know, apocalyptic white in the background. So an ND filter does is it actually has a very distinctive line across the back that is neutral density. Now this one is a 1-stop, which means that there's a 1-stop difference between the dark and the light. And I found that to be not so hot. Usually when I need to make that differentiation, it's kind of like the ND8 kind of issue, is when I need to separate those two, I need to separate them hard and make sure that the sky is significantly darker. Now, some people will say it can look unnatural and you can have issues with that, but in the limited experience I've had with the ND, the graduated filters, is that the one stop isn't enough. The sky is a very bright place with white clouds and a lot of chance for blowout. If you want to be able to keep those, then going with the graduated filters is just life-saving. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be other applications where you use a graduated filter where perhaps strong light is coming off this side and you need to equalize it compared with the light over here. And so you're able to use a graduated filter. And there's just nothing else that does it. You can't stop down only half of your lens like you can with an ND filter. Okay, I'll just stop down. Polarizer, there's some tricks around that, but graduated filter, I would highly recommend getting one for each one of your lenses to make sure that you have that coverage and be able to get those fully nice exposed shots where you have like a landscape and your forest is nicely exposed, but then your sky's all blown out. A graduated filter is where you're really gonna exceed